السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أنا منال الدباغ، وأهلا وسهلا في بودكاست لنبدأ الحوار Start the Conversation. الهدف من البودكاست إنه نبدأ الحوار في مواضيع مختلفة ما أخذت حقها في مساحة الحوار أو ما في أحد يبغى يتكلم فيها. المواضيع مختلفة لكن كلها بتدور حول كيف نقدر نعيش بكليتنا مش كأجزاء متفرقة في تناغم مع الناس حواليننا والبيئة. الفضول والشغف هو اللي خلاني أبدأ البودكاست، وهو اللي يدفعني لاختيار المواضيع وضيوف البودكاست. مرة تانية أهلا وسهلا، وإن شاء الله تلاقوا شيء مفيد في الحلقة. وإذا في أي مواضيع تحبوا تسمعوها أو أشخاص تحبوا تسمعوا منهم، أتواصلوا معايا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. حلقة اليوم باللغة الإنجليزية. ضيفتي هيلين تيري، مدربة ومعلمة نيا تكنيك. أتكلمنا في الحلقة عن نيا، عن التواصل مع الذات، على كيف نقدر نختار الشيء الأفضل بالنسبة لنا، عن سفراتها وكيف بتتعامل مع السفر الكثير. تكلمنا على نيا 5 stages. أتمنى أن الحلقة تعجبكم وتلاقوا فيها شيء مفيد. وإذا في أي سؤال أو استفسار عن نيا أو عن أي شيء تاني ذكر في الحلقة، أتواصلوا معايا. شكرا جزيلا. Hello everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Start the Conversation, لنبدأ الحوار. Today I have with me Helen Terry. I met Helen 12 years ago. She's my first Nia teacher, my Nia trainer, and a dear friend. And I'm super excited to have you, Helen, and introduce you to my part of the world even more. Welcome, Helen.
Well, thank you. It's lovely to be here. What a great opportunity to see your sweet face and we get to talk.
Yes. That's awesome. So I remember first stepping into my first Nia class, and it was to me a bit chaotic, and I had no idea what I was doing. And at the end of the class, you said, "Oh, you did perfectly," and I tell this story so many times. But it was really my first experience with sensations, and back to white belt, I always remember choose sensation to find joy. I still remember. So how are you sensing these days? Let's talk sensations, why it's important and why we need to choose joy.
Yeah, well, thank you. I can't believe it's been 12 years.
Yeah.
For me, your friendship is like, great experiences in life. In some ways, I'm like 12 years. I feel like I've known you forever. It's really only 12 years. And then other parts of me, it's like, oh, I remember when you came like yesterday, So, yeah, so the Nia program that I teach, that the base of Nia is to be embodied, to be what we call a somatic practice. Soma in Greek means healthy body. And so this more newer word, somatic, when you see a program that says somatic, most people will define it as it's an embodied in your body experience. But I like going back and actually looking at where the word came from. It's not only in your body, but the definition of Soma is healthy body as a vessel for everything else. And so for me, Nia truly is a somatic program, meaning it is a program to help you be in your body in a healthy way and doing things so your body, your mind, your heart, and your spirit, the personality that chooses to live in your earth suit today, gets to be healthy. And then for me, healthy must include happy. So that's the premise of what we teach and how you came to my class. And so it doesn't matter how good I look. It doesn't matter how much I get great moves. It doesn't matter how much I'm working with the choreography or on the beat or not on the beat, expressing myself or not. The fundamental is, am I in my body? and the way I'm in my body is by paying attention to sensation. It's a very simple thing. I think it's actually our birthright. If you think when we were born as babies, we learn everything through sensation. And then naturally, as we became adults, we become more separate from really our birthright, what we were designed to do. So for me, in a class, paying attention to sensation, it's the foundation. And there's all levels, yeah? So like when you said you came to the first class, it seemed really chaotic. And I still, as a teacher, for me, I'm in sensation most of the time. And it's as simple like a meditation practice or a running practice or a yoga practice is to simply show up and play with paying attention to sensation. And then with time, it becomes natural again. But it's not necessarily feeling natural or easy at the beginning. So I think your question to me was, how am I with sensation? Me personally, I love living in my body. Before I really came back into my body, I think I was mentally quite distracted. But actually what I just shared there of me talking, and it appears like I can go all the way around the circle. It's like, even though I'm being creative and I'm letting my mind go somewhere, I'm still present. I'm still present to the question you asked me. I'm still present to you. I'm still present to the words that are coming out of my mouth. And all of that can coexist by paying attention to sensation. So for practicing it for 26 years now, I really can't imagine life without being in sensation. So me personally, I am loving my relationship with sensation. I'm appreciating how it's bringing me a vibrant life and how I can focus better and how I can be in relationship with people, how I can teach better. I love how as a presenter I can be grounded and in my body. And then I definitely have this curiosity thing with exchanges with people outside of Nia classes. I was going to say, no, normal people. It's so funny for me to remember that being in my body through sensation, when we look at the whole global population, it's probably not the norm. You know, that to be aware that people I'm speaking with, people that I'm teaching, people that I'm training, it doesn't come naturally. It's a skill that needs to be taught. And then it's not intellectualized that, okay, now the person understands to be in their body, to be in my body, I must pay attention to sensation. It doesn't mean you've got it. It truly is a practice of every day doing it. So I like how in that way, I'm still so fascinated about sensation. For me personally, I like living in my body. And also I love understanding people better in relationship with sensation.
Well, it's still a practice for me to be in sensation and, in sensations at the present time and what I'm feeling. And when I'm better at noticing when I'm completely in my head than when I'm back in the body. But certainly it's an ongoing practice. And with my experience in teaching Nia and embodiment in different ways, it seems to me that that's kind of the developmental process that we go through as, being completely embodied, then to be completely in the mind. And I think the challenge, the transformation, or the opportunity is to bring them together and be in a body that thinks as well, not just like kids. And how do you see this transformation now that you've been doing this all over the world? And when I say all over the world, all over the world. Do you stay a whole month in one place?
I haven't yet found a calendar that will do what I want it to do. And so I actually make my own spreadsheet. That's my calendar. It's a spreadsheet. So I can tell you, this year, I'm not home for a whole month at any given point.
Yeah. So that brings me to two questions. Well, let's say with the first question is, how do you see the transformation of people? Because, like myself, I stepped into the Nia Moves in Houston, and I thank Google search who led me to to the practice of Nia, because it's really kind of my first step in coming back to home to my body, and with completely in my head. And now, after the practice for so long, and I know, people who have done this practice even more than 12 years that I've been doing it. How do you see that transformation sort of happen in front of your eyes?
Today compared to 20 years ago? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, in yourself and in other people.
I think it's amazing over the last 20 years of how fast we can see how technology and digitalization is moving at such a rapid pace. I'm so glad that I know what an album is. For my daughter, like when we got a whole box of albums out, and all she knew in her reality was CDs. When she saw the size of the LP, she was like, wow, how many songs are on that? And I said, oh, about 5. And she was like, what? There should be like 100. Yeah. And I was like, and if you physically turn it over, there's another 5 songs on the other side when you physically put the needle on the record. And that whole concept of a physical musical device was beyond my daughter's comprehension. She literally had never seen music being physically played on a record player. And I think I appreciate being in the generation of being part of that shift. So do I see more embodiment in the world today compared to 2 decades ago? Absolutely. 20 years ago, yoga was barely even in fitness programs at gyms. I wasn't aware of the word somatic 20 years ago. I wonder really how long it has been that we've been using the word embodiment. It's almost part of what I say, new science, that with the help of social media and things caused like this and people around the world talking, I feel that there's this beautiful flourishing explosion of let's have the conversation, let's share more about embodiment. So from my reference point, I definitely think that this is a movement. And I'm like, thank you, God, that finally I don't sound like the weird, freaky hippie in the corner that people, when I share what I do, will say, oh, that's interesting. But what they're really saying is, step back away from the loony lady. Like I am appreciating that I am feeling more and more extraordinary normal when people are asking me to talk about what I do. Whereas in the past, I definitely was seen as being a freak. So I personally like that I don't have to explain myself as much. And also at the same time, I've given up needing to explain myself. There's 2 sides to it there. So summary is, I think there's a big movement that more people are searching. More people realize that they need an antidote to their fast-paced life. My daughter now works for Facebook, and it's phenomenal at how fast her mind works, how fast her thumbs and fingers work, to be communicating. And I witness her doing a practice daily of getting up and doing yoga, talking to me more about meditation. And I don't think it's only that it's her mom is a Nia teacher. I think she is an example of her generation, that there is this turnaround. I love when I go for dinner with my daughter, her boyfriend, and her friends. Not only are none of them on their cell phones, they don't even have the phone visible. And if I have my phone on the table, my daughter would just give me a look. And I'm like, oh, I'll put, I've got it face down. I'm not really looking at it, but I just put it on the table. So personally, what I'm seeing is a beautiful flip around of our next generation. They're starting to bring boundaries with their digital devices. They are starting to realize the importance of doing things physically to balance. And so, my daughter's generation and moving on, they're giving me hope that they're moving. And I feel we are the generation that's preparing them for that with fabulous programs that are teaching people how to be in their body. Yeah, so I think it's a great time. And isn't it weird that it's the social media that is actually helping us become more aware of our bodies?
Yeah, yes, it's absolutely, we're doing it over, thousands of miles away. And it's quite refreshing to hear you say that, because usually what I hear, and, maybe it's different from a place to another for sure, that, kids are always on their devices and all that. But I think there's kind of a tipping point where, this is not working. So let's find another way of doing things, because everyone is busy, completely in their head and completely disconnected at some point. And I find it, younger generation are getting to that point faster, because their load of fast was much higher than my generation. Growing up, I was happy to be a teenager without Instagram and Facebook and all of those things. I think the word embodiment is, kind of booming, and everything is taking as such as, being how much we are embodied. And certainly this is my own desire and challenge to bring this to Saudi and the region. I've been teaching Nia since 2013. And yes, I always get, what do you do? I do Nia. And it's what? And I have to explain. And now I do my coaching as an embodiment coaching. And I also get this, what does that mean? And I simplify it as, we get answers or clues from our body instead of just our mind. So I'm so happy that this is a movement in the whole world. And I'm so excited that I had the education of Nia, of, the blue belt, brown belt, black belt, all the education that went into Nia. And that really was preparing me to take that role and bringing it to other people. So thank you.
Yeah.
So anyone who's, listening to this and have, attended any of my workshops or, was inspired by anything I said, Helen was the ignite of all this that is coming out, and forever I'm grateful for this. And I remember, I don't know if you do, but when I was leaving Houston in 2011, and we're just saying goodbye on the phone, and you told me travel with ease. And that has been my motto in airports since then, because I'm, a nervous traveler, and I want to get to the check-in. I want to do this, and I almost run if I would. But with your, words of travel with ease, I would find myself stepping, he'll lead with ease all along. And that's have transformed my traveling experience. So, and that brings me to my question. How do you deal with this much traveling while being in the body, being in an airplane, thousands of feet off, the ground? How do you stay with that?
I love that you took on the travel with ease so beautifully. It's this wonderful, isn't it interesting that simply how powerful words are, and when a little word is given in the right way at the right time, it can have such an impact. And that connects with what I want to share about how do I travel? How do I do all these big things? It's not so much the big things and the big deal and the big travels. I feel more and more it's the little choices that truly make the big difference. So when I say travel with ease, it's not only like a travel to Saudi Arabia with ease. It's like pack your bag with ease, book your flights with ease, say goodbye with ease, sense your heel lead with ease as you're rushing into the car when you're 15 minutes later than you thought you would be going to the airport. It's like feeling I'm stressed in the car, wondering if I'm in traffic, will I make my flight, and realizing the only thing I have in this moment is choice. And ease, my shoulders can come down. My shoulders being up by my ears is not going to help me get to my flight any faster. And I choose ease. And it's doing all the same things, all the little choices with ease. And that makes everything then, it's ease. It's part of life that way. So that's the main thing for me. And I'm human, therefore I still mess up, screw up all the time. I catch my shoulders up here. I find myself holding my breath. I feel myself in my head like, oh my God, why am I doing so many things? And I got to do this. And I find myself napping at my husband when things haven't gone quite right. And with all of those things, one of the little choices I have is when I catch that I haven't been making my choice with ease, or when I catch I really am rushing or stressing, there is nothing I can do about what I have been doing. And there's everything I can do in that moment to make a little choice. So I think one of the pivotal things of how do I get to do all the things I've done is when I catch myself, it can still be the things of saying I'm not enough, or rushing and saying I don't have enough time, or freaking out, or all these things. When I catch myself in that moment, I can bring, by choice, ease into that moment. Instead of saying, I screwed up, I was doing this bad, in that moment, I love it's an acronym for Nia. In that moment, I choose with ease to say, now I am relaxing. Now I'm in ease. Now I'm enjoying what I'm doing. The past is the past. There's some like really lovely little poem that has that. But basically, the past is the past. It's gone. I cannot change my behavior. But my choice in this moment is I choose to bring ease with everything I have. Debbie Rosas, co-founder of Nia and one of my main mentors, for me, she is one of those modeling embodiment people at ease. There'll be several times when we're doing a training together in Portland and we're driving the car together and it's 5 minutes before class is supposed to start. And we're in her car in the parking lot. And we have to get out of the car, go down the stairs, cross the street, come up the elevator and be ready for the Nia class. And my mind's like, we have so many things to do. And Debbie will sit in the car and she might say, and how's Liliana? And I'm like, oh, she's great, thanks. And Debbie won't rush, she'll open the door. And so I have people in my life who, for me, model ease. So number one is in the moment when I realize I'm stressed and I'm not doing it well, I stop, I choose to bring relaxation and ease and celebrate. Now I am being the person I want to be, traveling where I want to be, and all is well. And then when I feel I can't do it on my own, I call upon what I call physical and surreal angels, people in my life that model the behavior that I want. And so sometimes I'll just act like I'm Debbie Rosas, or I'll act like that lady in class, like a brand new lady who moves slow and talks slow and has a soft voice. And I'll role play and play as if I have part of them inside of me. And they help calm me. They help me relax. And then it's amazing how I can process things really, really fast. I can love my traveling and keep that ease going. So that's the overall philosophy. Then if you want, I can also tell you step by step. I have things that I do for when I travel.
Okay, I think this is one of the most, again, I've learned it from you, because the first time you told me, and correct me if it wasn't you, but I'm pretty sure it was you, when you said, I don't believe in jet lag.
Yes, that's me.
That's you.
Yeah, I'm like, jet lag does not exist in my reality.
And I've taken your advices, and, even though that this conversation was about, sensation, it's more about talking to you and all the things that I've learned and I want to share with other people. This could be maybe really one of the things that have changed even how I see jet lag. And I was in the West Coast of the US in late January, and jet lag was nothing, because, Helen said jet lag does not exist. And that, sound funny and maybe unreasonable, but why do you say jet lag does not exist?
We as humans, I think, underestimate the power of our minds. We're only utilizing such a small percent of our potential. And I truly do believe thoughts become things. Mm. Years ago, when drunk playing pool in a pub, a guy said to me while I was going for the ball, he said, this is way before Nia and embodiment, and I was drunk at the time, but he said, think it, see it, believe it. And it was like this ball that I had to get into the pocket was going to be the defining ball of the game. And I can remember him saying, it was in Idaho, University of Idaho, think it, see it, believe it. And I, even though I was a little bit off balance, I saw that ball, I thought it, I saw it going into the pocket, and I believed that I was this superstar snooker player and that the ball was going to go in. And I can still remember the somatic experience, the sensation of the rod, the sound of the cue on the ball, the sound of that ball hitting the next ball, and the sound of that ball clop, going into the, whatever it's called, like the net hole pocket, the pocket in the game. So what I'm saying is like that moment in time, that physical thing it's one of those visuals I have. If I truly believe, if I can think it and I can see and imagine, in there we call it desire, imagine, expectation. Think it, see it, and believe it, and boom, baby, it happens. So I totally simply, I find I function fantastically well by saying, I don't get jet lag. I choose to not jet lag. I don't think I even say that actually, but it's definitely, jet lag doesn't exist in my reality for me. And so maybe it is that I'm so tired and so sleep deprived that I just will sleep anywhere. But I simply, as soon as I start traveling, I do my best to not look at my watch at all. So it's not like how many hours I've been flying and how many more hours have I got? What is the time difference between now and there? It's like, what is the point of spending all of that mind chatter? It doesn't do anything. And I think it actually doesn't help. So like, just don't do it. And I hang out in the present, enjoying sensing my body, watching movies. And then I arrive and I choose to stay awake until it's that time zone's time for night. And I usually sleep wonderfully. I think being out in nature is something I think is always important. Getting outside, even if it's pouring down with rain. I definitely, when I've flown, I think I'm very air out of balance. And so I do as many things as I can to get back into balance. So for me, water is what will bring me back into balance if I'm air out of balance. So warm lotions, really long showers. If there's a hot tub, I'll find it. Jumping into the ocean, taking a dip in the lake, anything that's a body of water. And if I can get into it, then there are physical things that I'll do to help me. But yeah, mostly it's a mindset. I choose to not believe in jet lag, and therefore no problem.
And it works very well. I've seen you when we did the white belt training in Dubai a couple of years ago, and you arrived at night, and I was like, okay, Helen, pick you up at 8, and because we were supposed to start at 9, and you're up and I think you even woke up earlier and went for a run.
I went for a run. Yeah. In my general, I think it helps that day to day, I love to get up early. I love to get up when it's still dark, and I love to experience the sun rising. My ideal is that I do that going on a run wherever I am in the world. And there's something so uplifting for me of starting in the dark and sensing lightness coming into my day. And that in itself gives me hope. But I also feel that if we do have this internal clock, I'm letting my body know when it's the planet and we get up and it's dark and Helen is sitting with coffee or walking or running, and me and my body experience darkness slowly into lightness. My body is like a little puppy. It's like, oh, okay, that means it's morning time. Good morning, Helen. Let's do our day. And so it's using the natural clock of the rise and the fall of the sun. As I do it every day at home, I think when I'm in a different time zone, my body's like, oh, it's simply, this is what we do when the sun rises. Yeah.
Just stay with the moment and what's happening right now, not what time it's supposed to be in such and such.
Yeah, and I also use imagination. So this whole thing about needing at least 8 hours of sleep a night, I'm like, that doesn't exist in my reality too. I think, and maybe I should do some talks, particularly for postmenopausal women, that there seems to be this trend that, we don't sleep like we used to. I'm like, I'm just awake often in the middle of the night. And it's like when everyone else is asleep, I get to do fun things and enjoy it. And so the idea that I don't get worried, it's like I can maybe do 2 or 3 hours of sleep. And I like it when I know I'm going to bed very late. Like when I arrived in Dubai, I think it was like 12 or 1 in the morning. It was very late at night, I think. Mm-hmm. So I didn't get up till after 1. And I was like, okay, body, let's go to sleep. And we're going to get up at 5. And so I'll talk to my body like she's another person. We're in relationship with each other. And I'll be in the place of like, let's have really good sleep for 3 hours. And when we wake up, let's imagine we've had this luxurious quality long sleep. And it's like, I don't believe in jet lag. It's like I wake up and I believe that was fabulous sleep. Let's get up, And so it is.
Now, that's an interesting way of looking at it. But I wonder, is that working pretty well? Because you do have a relationship with your body and you are in your body versus if you believe it, you can achieve it kind of like, no, I'm just going to say it in my mind and the body would follow. Because sometimes, just telling ourselves, stuff that is still completely disconnected from our body. So do you feel that you could do this right now because you are in a relationship with your body, or is it just a mind power?
Everybody's different.
Of course.
Every day is different.
Mm-hmm.
So I can give my personal reference point and then my philosophy. I think what's the main thing is for people to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so it could be, start to at least change your thought patterns. And then part of that is while you're changing your thought patterns, play with how you can pay attention to sensation. And very simply, can you sense the part of your body that's in contact with something below you? So like right now I'm sitting, I'm sensing my bottom, my foot's on this little bar underneath my desk. I'm sensing that while simultaneously talking to you. Now, someone could have a belief of like, wow, by me putting attention into sensing my body, I'm giving less attention to my relationship with the other person. I think that's a mental construct. Mm-hmm. And so part of it is I'd say, yeah, and at the beginning, that's true. For a new person that's never really put some practice into sensing their body, they actually might need to be a little bit mentally distracted. But pretty soon we can learn how we can simultaneously be sensing our body and be more present. So the summary is you could come into it either way. Do I think the most effective way is being in the body? Absolutely. I would say it's 10 times more potential and effective being in my body. I can't imagine the mental energy it would take for me to do what I do embodied, like think about it in my head, how I could manifest that only from my mind. Mm-hmm. It almost gives me a headache. It's like, it really honestly does almost give me a headache in that, yes, the most powerful way to do it is truly being integrated with the body and mind. Like you said, we're born in our body, then we go into our head, and then this reintegration, it's optimal. I feel like our relationship with our bodies is one of the, if not the most important relationship we'll have on this planet, in this reality. And it really is a relationship, and it's like a marriage. It's like I was all about my body. Then I learned all about me, Helen. I kind of self-actualized and discovered, I'm more than a sensing being. I'm a thinking, intellectual, unique, creative being on the planet. And so it's like I was one person body. Then I moved into mind to realize there's a Helen Terry no one else is like me, thank God. And then it really is like, it's like a marriage of when I come back, it's like how awesome it is when there's a flourishing marriage. I can think of my relationship with Joe, like when I first met him, it was like, all about him, and then as the relationship developed, it was more like, where are my needs, where are his needs, and how is our relationship flourishing? So I definitely think of me, my body, and our relationship. And anything I want to do in life, if I am in that relationship, that's when I'm most effective, I think.
Yep. It takes a lot of work to do things from just, at least actually for me, to do it from my head. And I remember, we're having a chat at some point and talking about kids, and I get kind of agitated and all that, with tantrums, either their tantrums or my tantrums. And you just told me, sense your feet. And that was over 10 years ago. And it took me that time I can't remember when exactly, but the first time that one of my kids had a tantrum, or, we were in one of those lovely parenting situations. And it almost wasn't kind of a thought. It just happens, like I'm sensing my feet. And it's like, oh, Helen, yeah, that was correct, because that really helped me in, working with whatever it is. And when anyone asked me about parenting, I told them, well, Helen told me to sense my feet 10 years ago. And I'm, still practicing that, but it takes time. What's Helen Terry's learning edge right now? What is your kind of experimental kind of space?
What's my learning edge? That's quite a question. What's my learning edge? One of my learning things at the moment is Peggy Renfro, who I think, from Houston. A couple of years ago, she comes back again and again to my trainings, and she made this comment in front of a group of people of how I, Helen Terry, make rules and stick to them. And as soon as she said that, I turned around, like, the story I told myself was, growing up as a student, as a daughter in my family, I always saw myself as the rule breaker. I'd go out of my way to find a different way to do things. And so for someone's to say not only that I followed rules, but I was the one that made my own rules, I was like, that's not me. It was like a total reaction. And then I sat with it. And so for me, part of my learning is I hear something like that. I notice this immediate reaction in myself. And then I bring curiosity to, like, hey, hold on. What is true here? What can I learn from this? And so it's something I've been witnessing. And when I say witness, I imagine my witness is on this side of me, kind of watching me. And so my witness has been noticing, unfortunately, I hate to admit it, Peggy was right. I make rules all the time. And even though nobody else maybe even knows about them, I make myself stick to them. And I'm learning that this is part of who Helen Terry is. And it's been there almost all the time, I think. But I'm fascinated to learn there are all these layers. Even though I've been practicing consciousness and blah, 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 there is still so much more to be discovered about me. If I ever say the thing of like, oh yeah, I think I'm really conscious now and I know how I work. It's like, I love laughing about that, because if I say that, that's just simply denial. There's something that's about to break that I'll be like, okay.
I'm perfect. There's no more work needs to be done.
Yeah, no, it's pretty funny. So I am definitely learning by stalking myself with how I make rules and stick to them. So simple things. I love to run. Yeah, I do this thing called running the year. So this year I'm running 2,020 miles. Means I have to average about 5.5 miles a day. And if I miss a day, I got to get out there and run 11 miles the next day to stay on track. And with all my traveling, it's a very fun dance, we'll put it that way. Well, I realize I'll be running and I have a thought. And the thought will be, let's say my thought is, what's the time? And then I can notice my habit is then for me to, as I'm running, look at my watch. Yeah. But instead, my mind will say, you don't need to know what the time is. Wait. And so then I'll keep running. And then my mind will go again, oh, I wonder what the time is. And I almost reactionally go to look at my watch. And then I'll train something in my brain to say, wait. And then another part of my brain might say, in fact, let's not look at our watch, at least until the end of this next song that I'm listening to. Or let's not look at the watch until you've had this thought 5 more times. Or let's not look at the watch until you get to the next bend in the road. And I'll set this little rule. And then my mind again will say, I wonder what the time is. And then I'll be having a conversation like, why do you keep asking that? We're not going to look at the watch. And then I'll be witnessing, why are you now really thinking about the silly watch? Listen to the music. But I'm watching this whole process. But the end result is I'm fascinated to realize what I'm telling myself about myself, what I'm telling myself about the situation, how I still have so many habits. And through choice, I can train my brain so that when I look at my watch, it is by choice and not by habit. And also by setting these rules, I, who tell myself I'm a very undisciplined person, I become a more disciplined person. And that makes me feel good. And I find that with these little choices, through this discipline, I actually have more control over my choices, over my responses. And then I actually have more control over my life without going to the place of thinking, I have control of my life, which is obviously I don't. But it's like, so then when I get thrown for a loop, when things don't go the way that I planned, I have this discipline construct in my mind. And it literally comes from the thought of looking at my watch and choosing not to, and making the rule and sticking to it. That it's crazy that makes my mind stronger, more conscious, better able to make the good choices. So that's my learning edge.
It's interesting that, we need other people because, to let us know, oh, this is what you're doing. This is, you're walking this way. You have your shoulders up to your ears. And, it's a constant reminder. We need people letting us know because we get so comfortable in what we are used to doing without even realizing it. The mind chatter is kind of a fascinating space to be if we can step to the side and just witness. And really, the truth we tell about ourselves, the truth we tell about, other people, that's blue belt, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yeah, 5 levels of truth telling. Good job.
I think my favorite training by far, and I still have the plan to retake in Budapest when you come one day. We'll see when that happens.
Well, we've got a blue belt in June in Budapest.
Yeah, well, we'll see how, things work out and happen. How is the ranch? The ranch, Soma Ranch, Montgomery, Texas, one of my favorite spots in the whole United States. I call it my home in Texas. How is it going? How is it flourishing?
It's going really great. I think there was a big turning point when we had our 10th birthday last September. I feel like we have, operational wise at the ranch and also financially, we seem to have found this place of stability. I almost feel like I've been on a rocky boat, enjoying the ride, but now it's like I'm feeling the security and the stability which allows both Joe and I to be even more relaxed and allowing it to flourish. I think it's almost similar to the chakras, that I feel like we've really established our base, our root chakra. We've gone into birthing this thing of Soma Ranch, and now it's kind of in that upper, lower chakras of the solar plexus, where it's feeling that divine connection and also feeling very grounded. So that's a summary of it. So business is good. The grass is green. We've got the basics down, and now we're really playing with new things. Right before this call, Joe is actually leaving for the ranch, and there's always maintenance, like he's going to be painting the front porch. He said something about the something fascia siding something he was going to be painting. But then we've had friends that drink wine collecting these bottles. I think right now we've got about maybe 500 bottles of wine empty in the barn. And where we created a room for the massage house, we put in a shower and a toilet and a basin. But as well as having the shower on the inside of this little house, Joe did it so there's also a shower on the outside. So it's an outdoor shower that's lovely hot water from the hot water heater in the house. And so now we're going to be creating an enclosure for the outdoor shower that'll be large enough to have a massage table. So we can do outdoor massages, but also treatments like scrubs and wraps and stuff with the shower. And then we want to recycle, reuse wherever we can. So this idea with the wine bottles is we're going to create this beautiful, almost like a spiraling wall made out of wine bottles and cement. So from the outside, it will almost look like an igloo with these round circles. And from the inside, you'll be able to see the light coming through, but it'll also be totally private all at the same time. And, a little bit different too. Yeah.
There's always something new. And Joe, your husband, always coming up with awesome things to do. And the donkeys are all right.
Yeah, the donkeys are great. The other thing is yesterday, Joe finally actually went out and bought welding equipment. So he's practicing. He's got the mask and the gloves. He created a rake this rake's 2 meters long, and the prongs from it are about almost a meter long on it. And he can pull it by his tractor to draw the grass out of our pond that needs to get cleared out. But that was a practice. And now he's actually going to build, finally, we're going to have beautiful metal gates at Soma Ranch that he's going to create out of metal. So, yeah.
Awesome. I can't wait to come back and visit one time. And I can't wait for you to come here to Saudi and have a training where, one of my learning edge or learning skill this past year, and I'm taking it this year, is to let be and not force things to happen. It's quite a challenge for me because I want things to happen. So I was like, okay, again, with ease. So I have that intention and I want it to happen. Let's explore this. And what would you like to come here and do? I have so many things I'd like you to come here and do.
For me, in the summary is I'm happy to come and do anything. What do I want to come and do? I want to do the thing that will attract the most people and bring the most success, and for all of us to have a great time. What that actually is, I don't know. It could be a belt. It could be a one-day workshop. It could be a weekend playing with choreography. It could be a workshop about the body's way, and then a class. I'm open to all and any suggestions. I definitely want to come and visit. Yes. And when you were saying about your thing for this year is to not push things, to allow, I think that really comes from one of the movement forms of Nia, of Aikido. And it's, as an Aikido master, it's spherical, harmonious movement. So rather than the karate of Taekwondo or the soft passiveness of Tai Chi, the phrase in Aikido is, as an Aikido master, it's always let the opponent come to you. As soon as I lean in thinking I'm going to go to the opponent, that's the moment that I'm then off balance. So I think what you're describing is perfect. It's like, stand your ground, breathe, find ease, and let it all come to you. And then you're in a place of groundedness. So hey, you're grounded. I'm diving in. Give me a date. Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. And if anyone is listening, is inspired to learn some Helen awesomeness, please let me know. It's I would really love 5 stages. Yeah, I can see your eyes. So let's take this opportunity. Tell us a little bit for the listeners and to get them excited about 5 stages.
Oh, I would love to do that. So the near 5 stages come from our development from an infant to a walking human. And the 5 stages are called embryonic, creeping, crawling, standing, and walking. We have all gone through these 5 stages. To become a walking human, we were all born into this earth as an infant. So we all started embryonic. And now we are walking on the planet. And we each have gone through these 5 stages in a unique way. So first of all, as a program, Near 5 Stages is helping people to go back through these 5 stages. It's like a rebirthing, really, that every time we go through these 5 stages, we are creating new neuron pathways. We're creating new thought patterns and also new ways of how to organize, how we open and close our joints, how we tighten and loosen our muscles. And by doing that, we can improve our posture, we can improve our breathing, we can heal pain like lower back, neck problems, shoulder problems, but it also can help integrate our mind. So those of us that are really creative but can't keep track, maybe we can track better. Those of us who are really logical, maybe we ease up and we find more creativity. So all of that is potential in a Near 5 stages practice. There's a thing we call a 7-minute workout where you go through each of the 5 stages for a minute, and then you get up and down for a minute, and then you laugh for a minute, belly down, back up, sitting up, standing up. So if someone came to a Near 5 stages experience, I'd recommend that the first day be just totally for anybody. And it's bringing that what we call beginner's mind, that it would be for everyone to come in and to watch the 5 stages demonstrated, to then slowly go through the 5 stages. We teach you how to adapt moves, how to transition from one move to the next. Also giving people information of the why. Like, why is it good to do this? What is happening? Like in embryonic, my spine is getting really like juiced up. It's loosening up. And so that connective tissue that tends to get dehydrated is beginning to get more plump. Then we go to creeping, and the spine is literally being moved up and down in a lateral way. I like how you're moving as I'm talking. It's like, Then when we get to crawling, we've hydrated the spine, the synovial fluid. We've pumped it a little bit. When we're in crawling, the spine is then moving its S-like shape as a wave, and that is moving that synovial fluid all the way from the tail to your third eye here between your eyebrows. And then when we go to standing, after all that movement, there's a pooling of that fluid in the base of our spine, which also flushes the cerebral fluid in our brain. There's a greater inter-exchange between the synovial fluid at the spine and the cerebral fluid at the brain. Then when we come back up into walking, literally going through those 5 stages, 5 minutes, someone can feel transformed. They can for sure find something that feels better. And in Nia, we define healing as feeling better. So another thing we weave into the 5 stages program is what we call body gratitude. And every time we've gone through the Near 5 stages is to walk around and share out loud, thank you, body, now my shoulders feel better. Thank you, body, now I feel more focused. Thank you, body, my breathing has improved. Thank you, body, I feel more balance between my left and my right. Thank you, body, I feel more in sensation. Thank you, body, I'm more aware of my heel in my walking. And all those things happen from going organically through the 5 stages. So that's like an intro to what they are. Now, what is a Near 5 stages class? It's an off-the-chart, wonderful program that complements Nia, but it really stands alone. And so it's an hour class. It has 2 parts. The first part, which is about 20 minutes, is your body's way. You moving through the 5 stages, like I explained, being guided by the Near 5 stages teacher. Then the second half, which is about 40 minutes, it's 2/3 of the class. That's what we call the body's way, which is the science of the body. In every class, you learn something about the body. Maybe we'd focus on the pelvis, chest, and head. Maybe we'd focus on the soft connective tissue of the body. Maybe it's the psoas muscle or the rhomboids of the shoulders. But we'll focus on one part of the body. You'll learn a little anatomy, a little bit biomechanics, and then we apply that knowledge while it's all fresh and fascinating back into the Nia 5 stages in what we call interference. So we then take you through the 5 stages, and no one physically interferes with you, but it's a guiding, like a story. The facilitator is providing their words for everyone to explore how to do 5 stages a little bit different in relationship with whatever has been taught in that lesson. And this is like transformational. I find people then get up and do body gratitude at the end, and it's like, this is better than massage. Like, oh my word, my lower back that's been hurting me for 5 years, it feels better. Or like, wow, I feel like I'm floating. And all those results can be immediate, just in 1 hour. And the Nia training, so I would say it'd be great to do an introduction of what the Nia 5 stages are, to do a couple of classes that day so people could test what a Nia 5 stages class is, which is this very clear format. And then, hey, I think we'd be rocking and rolling to do the 2-day course, which is where for the first day, you go deeper into understanding it so you can become a better practitioner of the Nia 5 stages. And the second day of the 2-day course is then teaching you how to use your voice, how to read the scripts, how to use props, how to help people individually, how to adapt the work. So you're ready after 2 days to become a Nia 5 stages practitioner, a teacher. You could do this one-on-one with people, small groups. And it's not to music, it's not dancing. I think sometimes people are like, oh, I don't know about Nia. It's like, yeah, if you're looking at for a healing modality for yourself, but also for other people, Nia 5 stages is it.
Uh-huh. Awesome. Can you come next week?
No.
No.
I can come. Well, just have to come sometime soon.
Yes. Well, that's, the intention, 2020. And we'll see how that manifests itself. It's, who knows what happens tomorrow.
Like to see you is a joy to come back and see you. And we always have such a laugh. I love just hanging out and how we go for coffee in the morning. And I just think we laugh a lot when we're together, and I love that. But then there's so many dear people, like from you inviting me to come over to Dubai. It's like the ladies that I've met there are just, there's something unique about their heart and their passion. I feel so loved by them. And it's like you guys have such great aunt arms that wrap around me. I just love being in your presence. And I really am honored that you want me to come back. And also one of my school friends now lives in Dubai. So I have this extra thing that I told him I want to come visit.
Yeah, well, this time things have got a lot easier in the last 2 years. And this time we'd love to have you in Saudi, not even in Dubai, where, home, real home is. So that would be a treat for everyone who couldn't, come to Dubai and see you. You can make the trip through Dubai and visit your friend. We'll make time for that. But it would be lovely to have you here in Saudi anytime. So hopefully that happens. And unfortunately, we are in for the hour. And lovely talking with you, Helen. It seems like 5 minutes. And I'm sure there's a lot more in my head that I would have liked to ask you and talk to you about. Thank you so much for being here and responding, right away. It's like, yes, let's do this. I'm truly honored.
Thank you. It's so funny. Right at the hour, the battery on my headphones said, enough.
Well,
so, it's perfect timing. And maybe we can just do this again. I'm happy to chat, and let me know how I can help.
Thank you so much, Helen, and we'll see you soon.